Okay. All right. So we are up and running, and I want to thank Jackie O'Keefe for being here today. I call her my essential oil queen because she is such a wealth of knowledge. So, Jackie, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Jackie, as Whitney said. I'm a wife to Kevin and mother of 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, ranging from the age of 8 to almost 1. And they're the reason I do most of the things that I do, including using essential oils. I've been using oils for about 9 years or so, and just wildly passionate about it, which you'll probably be able to tell when you see me or hear me talk about them. I'll try to keep it as calm as possible, but I do get very excited because they've just made a world of difference in my life and my family's life.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that's kind of the first question I have. I'd love to for you to share a little bit about why you started using oils and some of the benefits that you've seen as you've, ventured into all the oils that you now, use, and kind of just some things that you've noticed have changed in your health and wellness from using them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. But that's kind of like what oils are for me. You start using it for one thing and you see the benefit, and so you start researching, and it's just a never ending process. So I started using oils about 9 years ago when I was pregnant with my oldest son, Kellen. Since it was my first pregnancy, it was all new to me, and I was confused about all of the changes and the discomforts that my body was going through, and I was just really struggling, both emotionally and physically, because I couldn't relax, I couldn't sleep. So being that I was pregnant, I couldn't take, certain prescriptions that most women could to help them sleep and with things like that, which that was a blessing in disguise, because from that moment forward, I stopped using all those things as well. But anyway, I ventured into a yoga store or a yoga shop that had a store down at the bottom and sold all sorts of things like oils and crystals and some of the things that we might think, even myself being into oils, are a little bit out there, a little bit Eastern. And so I was super skeptical. But I ventured over to the oils and just started looking through them and reading the backs of them, trying to find out what they were for, when I found my first bottle of lavender. And I had read that it was good for relaxation and for sleep. And so I unscrewed the lid, smelled it, fell in love, and the rest was history. So I brought that home to help me to relax my body. I would put it on my pillow to help me sleep at night, and it worked wonders. So it started there with the pregnancy, and then since I was pregnant and getting such relief naturally from oils, I decided to read all about the other benefits that oils can have for pregnancy and for babies. And that's when I learned the opposite end of it, and the risks that come with some of the other unnatural products. So I just decided right then with my pregnancy, from this baby forward, I'm going to be totally natural. So I started using oils like fennel for my breast milk production, peppermint for my headaches and for my nausea when I have my morning sickness, and it just all went from there. So started with my pregnancy, moved on to actual child rearing, and now, like I said, it's a slippery slope. Every part of my life, I feel like I use oils for. There's no limit to it whatsoever. So physical stresses that you might have, emotional stresses that you might have, different ailments, even illnesses, sicknesses, which I have to be careful what I say about that. There's lots of regulations because there's just so many benefits from them, and people actually are switching from using the traditional, pharma to using oils and other natural methods. So once I started learning that, it was just done. Started switching out my household products with oils, my beauty products with oils. I mean, I could go on and on, but it all started with just that one thing of wanting to learn more about sleep and relaxation, and mastered that and just went on from there.
Yeah, and I love that you shared like all the different facets of how it started with one thing, which is pretty major, like stress relaxation, and sleep, and then kind of evolved into now like household products and daily routines with oils. And that's what I love about oils, is that they can help daily in so many different areas. So thank you for sharing all that. I love that that's like your story, because it is a slippery slope. You start with one thing and, you move your way down to all of the
Good
things.
slippery slope.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a great slippery slope. So I would love to spend the next, 10, 15 minutes just talking about specific oils for runners and athletes in particular. So back in the summer, I did a summer workshop series on just different things throughout the summer. And you came and did a great workshop called Essential Oils for Athletes. So today's going to be kind of like that mini experience of that. So this is definitely a bonus for, people that are viewing this, and that's super exciting. So I'd love for you to talk about just how essential oils can help athletes, can help inflammation, can help fight some of those main things that athletes struggle with and runners specifically struggle with, and how essential oils can help.
Yeah, absolutely. And this list is not going to be all inclusive whatsoever. There are hundreds of different oils out there. And the cool thing about oils is, with a small exception, most oils have multiple uses. So, and there's not just one oil for one thing. So say if you're struggling with something like fatigue, you could use many different oils out there, a peppermint or a lemon or a blend that's called motivation. There's blends called energy. There's no one size fits all when it comes to using oils for running or, any other gamut of the athleticism spectrum. So just know that. So number one, before I even start with the specific oils, just do your research. Google will be your best friend. Also reach out to someone who knows more about oils than you do. I definitely have my people who I go to, and just look it up. Say, hey, I'm looking for an oil for inflammation, or looking for an oil for fatigue. If there's something that I have not mentioned that you have any questions about, because the options are limitless. But I myself am not a runner, and just the thought of running gives me fatigue. So that was the first thing that I looked up. What I like to do is Zumba. And it is a high impact cardio workout, and I get tired really quickly. So what I do every single day before I go to Zumba to get a boost of energy is I'll use peppermint. So I'll take a drop of it and put it on the back of my neck. You can simply inhale it from the bottle, or even put a drop on your tongue, and you just get a boost of energy. The scent in and of itself is just very invigorating, and it wakes you up. Other oils that help with fatigue or for lack of energy are any sort of citrus oil. So lemon, orange, tangerine, grapefruit, anything that just has that citrusy scent to it. As well as mint oils. So there's peppermint is the standard that everyone starts with, but then you can go from that into wintergreen, or some people even like spearmint. I feel like peppermint has the biggest zing, but that's me personally. Everyone has different likes and dislikes and things that react with them when it comes to oils. There are also blends out there that you can look for that have mint and have citrus in them. And some of the ones that I definitely recommend for runners are called Panaway. So that's going to help wake you up, but going to help with pain as well. It's kind of like an all-natural version of an icy hot. So that's it works both ways, for energy and both for pain. There's an oil called Raven, does the exact same thing, as well as RC. And again, what you'll find in common with those are they have citrus in them and they have mints in them. So those are a great powerhouse combo for if you are fighting fatigue as a runner or any kind of athlete. Something else to note as well, and this goes for any way that you want to use oils, but especially for fatigue, you can put them anywhere on your body except for your eyes, and they'll affect you in different ways. So one of the ways that I like to combat fatigue before I go to Zumba is put oil on the top of my head. I'll just take one little drop and put it right on the crown of my head, and it works wonders. Two of the ways that it really helps is that it's closest to your brain, and your limbic system in your brain is where your sense of smell goes through and goes to first, and it controls those emotions. And while fatigue is a physical symptom, it's also emotional too. Once you get in your head and tell yourself how tired you are, you'll go down that slope. And another reason I like to put oils on my head before I work out or any other time is your head acts as a diffuser. So your body's internal temperature, that heat from your body is going to go through your head, through that oil, and act as a diffuser. And your scent will stick with you so much longer of that oil. It's amazing. Zumba, for example, I put a drop on my head, and you're working out, sweating, you think it would wash right away. No, the end of class, I had someone come up to me and say, "You smell fantastic. What is that?" And it's that one drop of oil that I put on the top of my head. So when it comes to fatigue, mints, citrus, top of the head, or really anywhere in the body, you can also add drops to your water. So that helps as well. If you want to put a drop of peppermint or a drop of lemon in your water for when you work out, that will really help give you a boost.
Wow.
Something else, and this isn't directly necessarily tied to all athletes, because not everyone is wanting to lose weight, but that does go hand in hand with the reason some people get involved in physical activity. But there are certain oils that kind of help curb your appetite if that's part of the reason that you're working out. And it's the same oils I was speaking of before. It's lemon and peppermint. Those are really, really going to help you if you put them on your tongue or ingest them in water, kind of help curb your appetite and help you go a little bit longer before you need that next snack. It's also kind of like when you brush your teeth. If you have just brushed your teeth, you're going to be less likely to grab that sweet or salty snack that is your downfall, because you just brushed your teeth. So I'll put a drop of peppermint in my tongue so that I maybe want to wait a little bit longer before I have that snack. And hopefully in the meantime, I'll make a better choice and decide to grab, an apple instead of my bag of chips. Okay, so the next, oh yeah.
Yeah, before you go on, I just love the idea of like your head being like a diffuser. Like that's such a great example of how to put oil on and it to be effective during exercise. And so I love that. I think that's a great little tip for runners, especially who, are wanting that boost of energy, are concerned about kind of sweating, it off or sweating it out, to put it on the head and then have it just kind of be that like, cloud of smell and energy boost as they're running.
Well, and just think, if you get that energy boost from putting, say, peppermint on your head, think of the hundreds of other oils out there and their uses that they have too. You can use it for the same thing. So the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are having trouble sleeping, put lavender. Or you just want to relax and chill out, put a drop of frankincense up there. Whatever oil you want, just put a drop on the top of your head and see what it does. Now, if you haven't tried the oil before, I would say test it on your finger or on your wrist, because some are a little bit thicker than others. So like a myrrh or a vetiver, if you put that in your hair, like it could make your hair, you could feel it. It might stick with you, be a little oily, but most oils you're safe to put a drop in your head. You have no problem.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about fatigue. I know that another thing that runners often deal with is inflammation or pain, discomfort from exercise. Hopefully not pain, but just discomfort, soreness of the muscles, soreness of the body. So what are some great oils for soreness and inflammation and kind of that discomfort that we get from running or being active in other ways, walking, Zumba, yoga, all the other kind of things that we do?
Absolutely. And I'm glad, there are two very distinct ways that I'll use oils for that. And it's just as you said, inflammation and pain. And I like that you said, I don't want to call it pain. Hopefully you're not getting pain, but you know what I mean? Just that discomfort. And there are probably 4 or 5 commonly used oils when it comes to that pain and that discomfort. I had alluded to one earlier when I talked about energy, and that one is a blend called Panaway. So that's got wintergreen in it. It's got peppermint in it, those mint oils that we talked about earlier, as well as some others. And it's the first oil I ever used for pain, and it blew my mind, because you smell the bottle and it smells just like icy hot. And I'm sure we've all used icy hot, and we know, that tingling feeling that you get when you put it on. It's hot, it's icy, hence the name. It's hard to really put into words what that feeling is. So I had put that on my lower back because I was having some discomfort from being pregnant. And I was kind of bummed because I wasn't getting that feeling that I was expecting to get from icy hot. 10 minutes later, my husband asked me how I feel, and I'm surprised because I realized, wow, my pain's gone, but I never got that sensation, so that's what's cool about it. what gives you that sensation from icy hot is not something you want to put on your body. So it's just cool that there are these oils out there that do the same thing but don't have those adverse reactions. So Panaway, that's the number one oil that I grab for when I have any sort of pain or discomfort. Inflammation is big, and I struggle with that quite a bit for different reasons. And there are two oils out there that I grab for all the time, and one of them is cypress. I like that one because it is one of the more affordable oils, and it also has a lovely scent to it. Comes from the cypress tree, and I love woodsy scents, so pine and oils like that. So while I'm using cypress for my inflammation, I just also love the scent, especially around this time of year. Oils that you're going to use for inflammation, more than likely you're going to use them topically. So you're going to actually rub it on the area where you're experiencing those inflamed muscles, and just you'll feel it go away within minutes. Another one that's really popular for inflammation is frankincense. And I knew this, but I gained a new appreciation from it a couple of weeks ago. Frankincense is one of my all-time favorite oils because it does so many things. Not quite as many as lavender, but it does so many. It helps you relax and stay grounded. It helps with skin. It helps with inflammation. It has an amazing scent. I had mentioned a little bit earlier, and I promise not to go off on a tangent, but this is just a cool story to me. We have to be really careful what we talk about in regard to oils helping us with physical ailments, just because they aren't medicines, and there's only so much we can say because we're not doctors. But I had a friend reach out and make a connection with a mutual friend whose husband was in the emergency room because he had gotten a concussion. And concussions, what those are, inflammation of the brain. The doctor had said, you should look into essential oils because I know they do. There are some who do wonders for inflammation. So I was shocked, like that we're getting to the point where there is actual medical doctors who are even getting a lot of trouble, So I did some research, and frankincense all day long for inflammation of the brain, inflammation of any part of your body, but especially, your muscles as a runner. And then another reason that I like frankincense for inflammation, I had said earlier that it's very grounding, so if you're uncomfortable, it's going to make you get a little worked up and not be able to relax emotionally. So it's going to help you in two ways, physically with those inflamed, uncomfortable muscles and joints, as well as just your spirit and your mind. It just helps you relax and be calm. We actually used frankincense when I had my last child in the delivery room, anointed him on his forehead. The way they did for Jesus. And again, it's just a calm way. We wanted him to come into the world in a very calm way, a calm manner, and it just does all of those things. So I could not recommend frankincense more. That's probably my top choice when it comes to inflammation and so many other things.
Yeah.
And then the last oil that I would mention, and again, there's so many, but there's one called copaiba. And this one's really hot right now because it is the closest to the chemical components of CBD oil. So it's really, really potent and effective in helping with pain, with inflammation, with whatever it is that you need. What's cool about copaiba is it's called a booster oil. So if you pair it with any other oil, it's going to boost the effectiveness of that oil for whatever you need it for. So copaiba by itself is great for inflammation and for pain if you use it topically. But if you want to take, say, you need a little extra help with inflammation, take frankincense and mix it with a little bit of copaiba. Or sleep, mix it with lavender. It's going to make the lavender more potent. Whatever you pair it with, it's going to take that oil and boost it up to the next level. So copaiba is a very, very popular one. And then the cool part, like I said earlier about oils, is there's so many uses for them. So all the ones I talked about earlier, lemon, any citrus oils, and the mints, those are also going to help you with pain and inflammation. The trick is just finding what works best for you. While you might have a friend who uses lemon all by itself and it really helps with her joint pain, that might not do it for you. You might want to experiment with that and throw in a little bit of copaiba with it as well, and you might find that that works wonders for you, because we're all made up differently. And so it takes different approaches and different blends for us to achieve different results. So just because something might not have worked for someone else, or it did work for them, doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be the same for you. You just have to find out what works best. But just research, research, research. When I was getting ready for your workshop over the summer, I had found some really cool websites devoted just to running and essential oils. So that's the cool thing about oils, is there's information everywhere. Just check your sources, make sure it's a reliable source, run it by a friend who knows a little bit more than you might with essential oils, and make sure that you're getting it from the right place. But if so, run with it.
Yeah. And I love that you just said, you know, don't kind of get discouraged if a certain oil works for somebody else and doesn't work, you know, for you for the same thing. I've noticed as I've tried different oils and different blends and things like that, certain things that have, you know, somebody has recommended, you know, that might work for X, Y, and Z doesn't work as well for me. So, you know, trying to figure out that and being able to say, okay, well, maybe it didn't work for this. What else could it work for? Because there's so many different things that all of them work for. So I think that's really important. At the end of what you just said, you talked about doing research, understanding, you know, where to get oils from, and like, you know, kind of the importance of that piece. Do you want to just talk a few seconds on the importance of the quality of oil you get? Because that's something too that's really important, especially as athletes, as we're putting, you know, and as anybody, but putting really rich, clear, you know, oils into our bodies, and why that's so important, and where people can get those from.
So it is very important, and I'm glad you brought it up. The one part that gets a little discouraging to some is it's very difficult to find out what's good and what's not. The FDA only requires that there be 5% of an actual oil in a bottle to label it as pure and therapeutic. So there's a lot of companies out there that, you know, you pick up this $5 bottle, giant bottle of $5 lavender that you get at the grocery store. It says pure and therapeutic, 100%, but it's not. It's 5, and it's filled with all sorts of chemicals and fillers that are not good for your body. But because they can label the bottles however they want, it makes it more difficult. So you can't just go by what the bottle says. It takes a little extra work, but I research not just oils, any company that I use. I go in and I do a little bit of research online. It doesn't take too long, just to make sure that it is pure and that it is clean, because the fillers that are in there are, some of them are potentially cancer causing. It's just yucky. And we live in United States, which is an amazing country, but one of the things that does make it harder living here is we just have much looser restrictions with some of the chemicals that we're able to put into products like that. So kind of spooky. One red flag I will tell you to look for is if you go to do research on a company, you can't really find much of a web presence. I mean, they're going to have your standard, but it's not going to offer the information like where their plants are you know, grown, or how they distill, then that's a red flag too. So you want to find a company. I personally used Young Living, but there's other good ones out there as well. But they are very clear on their website where their products come from. You can go onto their farms anytime you want to watch them distill. So just make sure that you can find that information. There's also a couple of apps that I really love to use. The EWG has an app, and then there's an app called Think Dirty for any products that you use, whether they be essential oil infused products or not. But you can just scan that product or type in the name of it, and it will rate it from a 1 to a 10 as far as toxicity and all sorts of things like that. So, you know, use the internet as much as you can, or trusted friends. But yes, it is so important. Just make sure that you are using good, clean products, because while you might have the best of intentions, as I did 9 years ago, you know, thinking that we're filling our body with these pure products, but we actually aren't. We could be doing more harm than good. So research, research, research.
Yes. And it's so important to find somebody that you trust that, like you said, knows more than you, that you can kind of go to say, hey, like, this is a question I have. How can you help me? Or where can I buy this? So I love those apps that you suggested. I use them personally too. I think they're great. But also for all of you watching, Jackie is a fantastic resource. So if you are interested in all of this information, want more information, I'm going to put her contact information in the comments, and you can contact her via email or phone number to talk about essential oils. And the great thing is that around this time of year, there's a lot of specials going on through Young Living for this time of year and kind of the holiday season. So it's a great time to try something out and see what you think. And she is the oil queen. She is the expert when it comes to
Thank you.
oils. So use her as a resource. She is wonderful and would be happy to speak to you. And one thing too that she has offered to share with us is that she created a great document with all of these things that she's talked about today in it for the workshop she did over the summer. And she's offering it to you today for free. So I will also upload that to the group for you guys. And it's full of great, awesome resources. So Jackie, do you have anything else you want to share? I mean, we covered a lot. I think you did an awesome job. Do you have anything you want to share to anyone kind of listening, or anything we didn't cover?
Just don't be scared. It's funny, so many people when they ask me about oils for the first time, they say, I'm scared, I don't know where to start. You know, you're not going to hurt yourself, you're not going to hurt anybody as long as you follow the instructions on the label. Just start somewhere. Don't be afraid. Take that one area of your life that you want to improve, sleep for example, or blemishes or stress, whatever it is, lactation. Research that and master that area. Find the one oil you're going to start with, master it, and then move forward. So you eat an elephant one bite at a time. Same thing with using essential oils. Don't get overwhelmed. If you do, reach out to me or anybody else, because what I am the most passionate about, it would be my dying wish if everyone that I knew, all my friends and their friends, all used essential oils. Because it is just a game changer. I feel like we would be much healthier as people if we use more natural products. So I am there to help you do that.
Yes, thank you. This was great. I really appreciate you coming on today. So
My
thank you
pleasure.
for all your just wealth of knowledge. And yeah, thanks for everything. And if you need anything, Jackie is a great resource. So reach out to her, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Whitney.
Thank you.